Right now on the National Weather Desk, as a cross-country storm brings heavy rain across the south, some communities worry that water combined with melting snow could lead to flooding.
Very heavy precipitation or it happens in a very short period of time, then we're going to have to be more concerned about flooding.
Why have there been so many frequent earthquakes in South Carolina this week?
Usually earthquakes around here tend to be somewhat isolated.
An unusually long mountain cedar season is making life miserable for allergy sufferers.
Uncontrollable sneezing attacks, their eyes almost being swollen shut.
Why is Michigan's moose population rapidly declining? Plus, how farmers are battling dry conditions in the Texas Panhandle and the forecast for Sunday's Daytona 500.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
And good morning and welcome to you. Welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Mark Pena. The long holiday weekend is shaping up to be a wet one across the south and east. A cross-country storm will bring heavy rain and possibly even severe storms to multiple states. The rain gets underway tomorrow in Texas and Oklahoma as it moves across the south. The heaviest rain will fall across Arkansas and Tennessee on Sunday. It then brings more rain to the southeast coast before heading out to sea. The threat of severe storms is low, but it does exist in much of Texas and Louisiana for tomorrow. Some tornadoes and damaging wind gusts are possible. And all that rain combined with melting snow and ice is raising concerns for flooding in several parts of the Northeast and Midwest. One area is the Ohio River Valley, a region that includes portions of Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. As meteorologist Emma Keegan explains, the flooding may not be as bad as people expect.
As temperatures begin to thaw out snow and ice in the Ohio Valley, locations near rivers and creeks begin to worry about rising water levels. However, experts like Alicia Miller, the senior service hydrologist at the National Weather Service office in Pittsburgh, believe our current conditions are ideal to put these worries to rest for the next couple weeks.
We're going to have temperatures above freezing during the day, below freezing at night, and some sunny skies here and there. That is really going to let the snow kind of melt gradually. So our flood risk is low. I wouldn't say it's zero, but it's pretty low because we are going to have this prolonged period of just a gradual melt of everything.
As we get closer to the new season, Miller anticipates an enhanced risk for precipitation due to a shift in the El Nino Southern Oscillation, also known as ENSO, from a weak La Nina to a neutral phase. This interannual climate pattern over the tropical Pacific Ocean impacts weather patterns globally. In this case, it creates a more active weather pattern, giving us more chances for precipitation. Although, she notes, this area has already been in a precipitation deficit over the last several months, so the factors may balance themselves out if the precipitation we do receive doesn't come in too intensely.
We actually do need some precipitation. It's just we're going to have to watch for rates. So obviously if we have very heavy precipitation or it happens in a very short period of time, then we're going to have to be more concerned about flooding.
Finally, if you are in an area that is at risk of floods, Miller suggests creating a plan of action ahead of any threats.
Now, a lack of water is the concern across the Texas Panhandle. According to latest information from the U.S. Drought Monitor, Amarillo and surrounding area is abnormally dry, and that's not nearly as bad as the rest of the state, but it's still leading farmers to consider harvesting rain to save the groundwater. Drew Powell has details.
Rainwater harvesting is an alternative supply of water that's very viable in Texas. The importance of rainwater harvesting here is that every gallon of rainwater that's used is a gallon of groundwater that's saved.
As the state of Texas, along with cities and counties, are investing in technologies to try to help conserve groundwater, it's also imperative for residents to look at incorporating different strategies, ensuring that they'll have water for the future.
With data centers and new uses of water showing up, rainwater harvesting can be a way to supplement water supplies for those facilities.
When it comes to rehydrating the plains, the best thing that we can hope for is a series of slow soaking rains throughout the late winter, early spring, and into the summer months.
Now, we are just 5 weeks away from spring, and that has officials in Nevada looking ahead to the wildfire season. They are warning residents that despite a relatively quiet 2025 wildfire season, this year could be different. Anthony Ramos is outside Reno with more.
Rocky Meadows Fire and Rescue recently releasing statistics from 2025.
So the 2025 fire season was much less severe than in years past.
In 2025, fire crews responded to 134 calls for active wildland fires. Truckee Meadows Fire Chief Richard Edwards says those fires have been relatively small.
Really, the wildfires themselves have stayed pretty steady year over year. The part that really changes, though, is what the weather impacts are to those fires.
Only 286 acres of their service area was scorched by flames in 2025, a significant drop from 2024, when more than 7,000 acres burned, thanks largely to the Davis fire. With the dry periods we've seen, plenty of fire fuel has popped up across the region. Don Johnson is a warning coordination meteorologist with the National Weather Service in Reno.
When we don't get the snowpack, those fuels continue to grow and are available in a much greater quantity and area to then ignite.
Johnson says it's snow down to the valley floor that also helps to mitigate the wildfire risk.
When we get snow, it helps to compact those fuels, which then means there's not as much open area to burn.
Edwards is urging community members to start mitigation efforts early.
The more that they can do to harden their homes against wildfire gives us a better opportunity to be able to keep that fire off of their properties.
This week marks 5 years since multiple winter storms crippled much of the state of Texas. The combination of heavy snow, sleet, freezing rain, and bitter cold left more than 250 people dead and 5 million homes and businesses without power. Meteorologist Avery Tomasco shows us how these storms caused so much chaos.
The foundation of the 2021 winter storm came with the development of La Nina months prior. That generally keeps Texas in the winter months warmer and drier than average, but it also makes it more likely that the polar vortex can become destabilized. When that happens, extremely cold air in the Arctic can move much farther south than usual and stay south longer than usual. And it was the cold that did most of the damage back in 2021. In Austin, we spent 144 hours below freezing, an all-time record with our coldest temperatures since the 1980s. That alone led to numerous infrastructure problems, pipes bursting in homes, water main breaks, and water shortages, a problem made worse because the power demand could not be met by the power supply. This was on top of the 4 major winter storms that moved through back to back, which started with a crippling freezing rain event with winter storm number 1, followed by our biggest snow event since the 1970s, more than 6 inches in Austin, followed by yet another freezing rain event with a ½ inch of accumulation, and then one last dose of snow before all was said and done. The layers of ice and snow made travel impossible for more than a week.
6 earthquakes, including 3 in a 24-hour span, shook the Carolinas this week. Many residents are now asking if they should be concerned. Nick Bass went to find out why these earthquakes are happening right now.
A sudden surge beneath our feet.
We've been having a swarm of
Earthquakes, which Stephen Jarmay says aren't unusual.
usually earthquakes around here tend to be somewhat isolated, but they do occur in groups, and so we're having a pretty decent, we call them swarms.
He says we experience minor ones occasionally, but there have been bigger ones.
We had an earthquake back in 1886, about magnitude 7, in the same area as the earthquakes that we're having now.
And the ones we're having now, raising concerns for lawmakers.
It's always a concern when we have earthquakes that we can feel. That really brings it home to people. It's scary. I know that my mom has called me and texted me several times. It's always unsettling.
Representative Gil Gatch introduced House Bill 3227 in January that would require insurers to offer coverage for earthquake damage to homes, making them tell policyholders,
hey, you know, we live in South Carolina, or you live in Somerville, or you live in Charleston. It's a high earthquake area. We have a lot of activity. We do offer an earthquake insurance policy that would work like this, and it costs this much. And if you want it, you can get it.
And check this out. Biologists in California recently had a rare encounter with the elusive Sierra Nevada red fox. It's one of less than 50 of these red foxes in the area. For the first time, they were able to safely capture the animal, put a GPS tracking collar on it, and release it back into the wild. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, more numbers are declining in Michigan. We'll look at why it's happening. And ever heard of cedar fever? We'll tell you what it is and why it has folks in Texas reaching for the allergy medication.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. A nice stretch of weather is on the way to end out the work week and kick off the weekend in the Northeast. Here we are 7 a.m. It's chilly out there this morning, but a nice rebound in temps should be expected. We're in the 20s and 30s for highs. That's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Expect unlimited sun. There's a very weak front with a round of clouds and the slight risk for a snow shower. That's early Saturday. Sun will rule the sky by afternoon, and we'll keep that sunshine on Sunday.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. Looking like we'll stay dry all the way in through Saturday. So Valentine's Day shaping up to be pretty nice with sunshine. It will be chilly to start your Friday, and then we'll be tracking a disturbance to roll through on Sunday to bring some rain and possibly snow to the region. Again, temperatures will have a chance to warm up from chilly numbers, but above freezing for the most part for everyone. It'll be even warmer going into Saturday. We'll get close to the 50s, closer to the coast, and of course in parts of Virginia, the mountains may be in the 40s.
I'm meteorologist Charlotte Carl. Afternoon highs across the area are going to vary between the 60s, 70s, and for South Florida, even the lower 80s. This is pretty much above average for the majority of the southeast. We are going to see just a little bit of cloud cover along the Gulf Coast in Mississippi and parts of Louisiana. A few isolated showers possible in Arkansas as well as we head into the overnight hours of Saturday into Sunday. Some showers increasing from the west as our next area of low pressure develops over to our west.
The National Weather Desk celebrates 250 years of amazing America.
When winter weather hits, the #1 priority for transportation and public works departments is keeping the roads clear and safe. Meteorologist Ryan Munn stopped by one of the main Turnpike Authority camps to understand what happens long before salt and brine hits the roads.
It's been a busy winter for the Maine Turnpike Authority. Their work starts before a storm hits when crews start pre-treating roads. They use a mixture of rock salt and salt brine.
The salt is pre-wet as it drops down the chute and onto the spinner to keep the scatter down in the roadway. So salt brine is essentially salt water. Salt brine helps activate the salt. It acts as a catalyst. And it also helps with keeping the salt in the lanes where we want it to stay.
Salt brine gets tested before it's stored. Crews use a hydrometer to measure the ratio of sodium to water.
Approximately right where it is.
Each batch of brine generates around 1,200 gallons, which is then stored in tubs for future use.
The salt brine also helps us create a brine layer between the roadway and the falling snow, which helps us remove the snow, and it prevents ice pack.
Using only a salt mixture is important as it makes it easier when the temperature's warm.
It saves on our ditches and our spring cleanup because we don't have winter sand filling our ditches or dirtying up our road. So we're able to clean our road much faster and more efficiently in the springtime because we are salt priority.
Many people in Texas are now feeling the misery of mountain cedar. It's pollen released by ash juniper trees, leading to what many call cedar fever. And this year, the allergy season showing no signs of letting up. Meteorologist Joe DiCarlo explains why the season is going on so long.
Ash juniper trees like these here on the far north side of San Antonio are prevalent across our area. And during the winter months, when the wind shakes these trees, they release particles of mountain cedar, and this year, they've released a lot.
Yeah, it's been unusual, mostly because the pollen counts are usually declining by February.
You can blame this year's prolonged season on our mild and dry winter days and no real prolonged freezes. Recent high counts are the highest they've been so late in the season in over 20 years, and this means more allergy suffering.
We're talking sneezing, uncontrollable sneezing attacks, runny nose, congested nose, people with severe eye symptoms where their eyes are red and swollen to the point of their eyes almost being swollen shut, and then various itchy skin or even sometimes asthma attacks can be caused by the cedar pollen.
To manage symptoms,
I love the nasal steroid sprays, like Flonase is a very common one, but they have to be started early. You can't wait till you're miserable to start a spray.
Mary Jo Shinoy's son had allergies so bad he moved back to Colorado.
He had dry throat, itchy throat, watery eyes, itchy eyes, sneezing. It made a big impact on his sleep too, I think.
As mountain cedar counts back off in the coming weeks, oak pollen will likely start to spike, and that will peak in late March and early April.
The moose population is dropping in Michigan, and that has wildlife specialists hunting for the cause. Meteorologist Ethan Foreman reports on a study looking at the potential factors.
In 2023, the moose population was at 426, but dropped to about 300 by 2025. Tyler Petrulia, a wildlife specialist with the Department of Natural Resources, says that there are some reasons as to why we could see this decline despite a stagnant population for the 2010s and early 2020s.
Over the last decade, we've seen our moose population stagnate in our core range. So that's in the western upper peninsula of Michigan. And that's the area we survey in the 3-county area of Baraga, Marquette, and Iron counties. And it's been between 300 and 500 animals over the last decade.
Beyond that core range is another moose population, which includes Alger, Schoolcraft, Luce, and Chippewa counties.
Moose are shifting where they occur in that core range. And that is one of the things that we're very interested in our current moose collaring effort, is to better understand how moose are using the landscape and how they're distributed across the landscape.
In February 2025, the Keweenaw Bay Indian Community, the Michigan DNR, and Northern Michigan University partnered in this new program by collaring 20 moose and outfitting them with GPS tracking.
For this moose capture operation, we are doing what's called helicopter darting. This is it's a safe practice to capture moose efficiently. 40 moose in a short period of time. We call in a helicopter in order to dart the moose, immobilize that animal.
Petrulia says that the survival rate from last year was high. There were around 20 animals that were collared, and around 3/4 of them are still alive. There is also something Petrulia wants you to keep in mind.
We know that vehicle collisions in Michigan have killed over 60 animals in the last 3 years. And, 60 may not sound like a lot, but our moose population being relatively small, 300 to 500 animals, 60 animals is a large proportion of that population.
The Great American Race is now just 2 days away, but Sunday's Daytona 500 is just the highlight of what is a long weekend of racing in Florida. Meteorologist Dave Derricks goes through the forecast for the 3 packed days of competition.
The Daytona International Speedway is the crown jewel of NASCAR. It's big, it's bold, and made for speed, and the fans are gearing up for some exciting racing. Comfortable temperatures are expected this evening for the Craftsman Series truck race. Now, Saturday offering up a busy day of racing as well, with afternoon temperatures in the low to mid-70s with just a slight chance of showers. The ARCA race starts at 12, and the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race begins at 5 p.m. And the big race, the Daytona 500, is Sunday. The green flag is set to wave around 3-ish in the afternoon. Fans and drivers, though, will be watching radar for possible rain showers. It will be breezy with warm temperatures expected.
And now let's get a check of a preview of this week's episode of our podcast, Off the Radar, hosted by meteorologist Emily Gracie.
The thrill of victory, the roar of the crowd, athletes from around the world chasing Olympic glory on snow and ice. For a century, the Winter Olympics have delivered some of sport's most iconic moments. But those moments depend on one thing: cold weather. When the Winter Games first came to Cortina in 1956, natural snow covered the mountains. Today, the town is more than 6 degrees warmer. Since 1950, every Winter Olympic host city has gotten warmer. This week, we're going off the radar to uncover new research that shows the list of cities that can host the Winter Games is shrinking fast. What happens next may decide whether the Winter Olympics remain possible at all.
You can find Off the Radar anywhere you get your favorite podcasts. And time now for a short break. But first, let's take in views above Lake Tahoe in California.
Well, a very good Friday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buck-Michael. Look at this weather across the Midwest today. Beautiful. Temperatures warming up for us. Got a lot of 50s and 60s and then 40s across the Great Lakes region. As we continue into the day tomorrow, rain starts to build across the south. And as we head into your Sunday, that continues moving across the southern Midwest, while the rest of us are dealing with a lot of 60s, 50s, and a few 40s.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. It's a little cool for our friends in Oklahoma and Little Rock. Into the 40s in Amarillo, also into the 40s. We're looking at some 60s down to the south. We're watching this little bit of a weak front. There's a lot of moisture is going to be moving up out ahead of that. An upper level system will come through. We could see some big storms out across Texas, heading out toward the east over the next couple of days. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit warm coming up for tomorrow. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
I'm George Waldenberger. Here's your forecast for the western United States. Now, looking here, you'll notice one thing. There's not a lot of temperature variation. Upper 40s Seattle, upper 60s Phoenix. The reason we have a storm system that's dropping rain, bringing clouds over areas of the desert Southwest that are traditionally a little bit warmer. We should see the snow begin to taper over places like Park City and Vail, but another storm system will begin to wet the Pacific Northwest. That's the scene from out here.
You are watching the National Weather Desk.
And now to southern New England, where frustrating pothole problems are popping up earlier than usual this winter. Natalie Casaltoni has more.
Kevin Andalina says he was driving to work early Thursday morning when he approached several of these potholes and then...
So loud thump, big pop. Fortunately, I did hit one of the bigger ones and it blew my brand new driver's side tire that I just got a couple months ago.
Andalina was able to make it to his work.
So I got there safely. After that, I was able to set up an appointment at a mechanic, get that changed with a cost, unfortunately.
13 WAM noticed a couple vehicles pulled off to the side of the road Thursday afternoon near the pesky line of potholes.
I would say at least monthly I see a couple cars that take them pretty heavy, and there's definitely some damage. With the amount of traffic, 7, 8 o'clock, that rush hour traffic, the amount of people, and you see people in front of you that do go around them and swerve into the other lanes, which obviously is a safety issue, and the damage that goes along with it too.
We'd love to share your weather content on air, and you can find us on all your social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Just search the National Weather Desk, and we'll be right back. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm meteorologist Mark Pena. Make it a great Friday. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you right back here on Monday.